Welcome in to the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch podcast presented by the real underscore G Warner across Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the Friday, February 21st, late night with the real underscore G Warner, a little bit earlier than normal. But going through the Saturday and Sunday cards as there's some midweek matches. We have a lot of cups going on, the Copa del Rey in Spain. We have the Coupe de France in France and the DFB Pokal in Germany as well. I'm also not sure that my audio is the way I wanted it to be. Hopefully, okay, it looks like it is on Zoom. Let's see if it is on StreamYard as well. Giving people a few seconds to filter in also because might as well see to get the more the merrier and get everyone in here if possible. Um, okay, I think we're about a minute in, so I'm going to go through each of the top five European soccer leagues, try to improve on a 32 and 11, 74% best bet record. I take my favorite best bet from each of the leagues I cover, and then I smash them all together in 1 minute video that gets posted to Instagram and YouTube at the real underscore G Warner. And if you want this on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, check out Betting the Pitch on both those platforms. If you leave a 5-star review, leave a question in there. I will reply to it, or I will answer it. I will read it, or I'll have one of my co-hosts do it. There is a college basketball podcast out if you're looking for Saturday bets. Did it with Big East Ben. That is on the pregame.com feed at pregame now on Twitter. But we're going to start in the English Premier League because that's where the money is. And the first match on our list is Everton hosting Manchester United. Currently, Everton a pick'em with all the juice totals 2.25, juice slightly more to under. Everton looks like they probably won't have 17-year-olds on their bench. That's a better situation than Manchester United certainly had at Tottenham or against Tottenham this past weekend. We'll see what that ends up turning into and how healthy Manchester United can get in a week. It does seem Amad Diallo is out for months, it appears, or at least weeks. That's a really bad thing because that's the best player they have. I'm interested in Everton as a pick 'em at home. It's expensive, especially for how little Everton have scored, but we've seen Beto come in and other than his trademark celebration, which looked like an NFL touchdown celebration, I gotta say, but he seems into it. Um, he's been scoring. Manchester United are a team I want to be against, and I do think there's some value in under 2.25 here, especially early start. Usually a good thing, and I've had a really good run in the early matches in the English Premier League. It's been starting my Saturdays off very, very well, and then seeing what happens after that, I guess. But I think there's just a lot of questions about Manchester United, how they're going to score goals. The Ruben Amorim experiment doesn't seem to be working very well, and I'm honestly not sure how long it will even last. I want to let you know that if you're live, I do have comments open, so be like Big Protein on the last episode, throw something in here, and I will reply to it. We'll move to the big window in English Premier League. Saturday, we have Fulham, a half a goal favorite at home to Crystal Palace. All the juice on Palace away. Totals 2.5, and it's juiced very heavily to under. Both these teams have kind of been going in opposite directions. Fulham have been really struggling until they beat Nottingham Forest last weekend. Crystal Palace had been trending upwards and then lost at home to Everton. Go figure on both those results. Good chance that we see both of those kind of control the game in a different way this weekend. Fulham at home, though, you have to look at them. They probably deserve to be a half a goal favorite, but that still asks a lot from a team that hasn't been playing great until a good performance last weekend. Totals 2.5 in this one, which is pretty high for a Crystal Palace match. Yes, they did see 3 goals in their match last weekend. I think that's probably my biggest interest, though, in this one is seeing fewer goals. Fulham and Nottingham Forest, I mean, very easily could be a 1-1 last weekend, finishes 2-1 in Fulham's advantage, paid the favorite and the over. I feel like that's less of a chance in this one, but I think I trust the under 2.5 more so than the Crystal Palace side. But I do like the idea of backing Crystal Palace on the road where a draw will win you a full bet. So we'll move next to Bournemouth hosting Wolverhampton Wanderers. Currently, Bournemouth a 1-goal favorite. All the juice on Wolves away. Total is 3, just all the way to under. Bournemouth, I mean, I think I'm at this point giving up on expecting them to be an under team, and a lot of the value is gone on Bournemouth. That used to be one of my favorites, even just this season, backing as an underdog every time I could. Anthony Iraola is the truth, and unfortunately, I think that truth has been told and has been figured out. Wolverhampton on the other side, I can't really trust them as a 1-goal underdog. Don't really see a lot of goals in their matches, but their defense has been so bad because they haven't really been able to afford any center backs or haven't been able to keep them healthy, or they didn't have enough on their roster because they're broke. I think at this point, under three is the closest I can get to this matchup, but I'm not sure it's that high on the list of potential bets for this card. Moving next to Arsenal hosting West Ham United. Currently, Arsenal 1.5 goal favorite at home with almost all the juice. Totals 2 3/4, juiced all the way to over. Good thing or good chance we see this hit three, and I think that is a good thing because I do like the under here. West Ham United, they've got a long way to go under Graham Potter. They were doing a lot better under David Moyes, and careful what you wish for. He's now flying at Everton, of all places. West Ham's going to struggle, and they're going to a really tough place to play. Arsenal, we're scoring a corner kick every week. I think that's been figured out, or at least maintained or managed a little bit better, mitigated, maybe a better word, by the English Premier League or coaches, managers, set piece coaches, whatever they are across the world. I think the question, though, is how are Arsenal going to score with no strikers on their team until Mikel Merino came in, a former Newcastle player, was literally at Real Sociedad until the end of the fall transfer window or summer transfer window, I guess is more appropriate way to call it. And I don't think he's going to come in and score 2 goals off the bench. He'll probably start, is my guess, because I can't imagine they want to trot out Raheem Sterling at this point. Um, but I like West Ham getting getting a goal and a half, more than a full goal. So that full goal of insurance, and you still, if they lose by that amount, if they lose by a single goal, you'll win your bet. And I think the under is also worth looking into at the current 2 3/4, but I like the under three even more when it gets there. Southampton then hosts Brighton. Currently, Southampton a 1 goal underdog at home. Almost all the juice on Brighton away. Total is three, just almost all the way to under. Southampton, they've been so bad this year. Hard to really see them doing much better. They did get a big win on the road, I believe, at Ipswich a couple weeks ago, and then followed up with more bad performances. Now they're at home, where they used to play really well at St. Mary's, but that hasn't really worked for them this season. They look far adrift right now and look like they are heading back to the championship. Though don't feel too bad for them. The golden parachutes are certainly useful. I think Brighton on the other side, they have been playing better lately, though it might be because they went up against a Chelsea side twice in a row, back to back at home, underdogs in both, and won both those matches. I don't know that I trust them that much just yet. I think Southampton have a good chance of making this a competitive match. The problem is they play out of the back and consistently give up goals that way. I thought that Ivan Juric should do a better job of stopping that, and I think he has improved it because you can't get much worse than what was going on before that. So under three will be my biggest interest in this one, but I don't think I want much to do with the side. Still in this 10 a.m. Eastern time window on Saturday morning, with Ipswich Town a 0.5 goal underdog to Tottenham. All the juice on Tottenham away. Total is three, juiced all the way to over. Feels like there's a lot of respect here for Ipswich, especially maybe because they were able to get a 10-man draw on the road, scoring draw at that at Aston Villa last weekend, and Tottenham played a later match, plus has all the Tottenham things going on. Though Tottenham are getting healthier, it just doesn't seem to happen. They're bringing in new players in their back line because they haven't been able to keep defenders healthy. And I think that's part of the game plan and style they play. I'm interested in backing Ipswich here as a home underdog. I like the 0.5 goal. I don't think I want much to do with the total, as I'm an underplayer, as Joe Dollar laments. Thanks for your support, Joe. But I got to say, the Tottenham, they don't really cater to unders very often. To the nightcap on Saturday, we have Aston Villa at Pick'em right now with Chelsea. Juices split both ways. Some money coming in on Aston Villa lately. Total is three, and it is juiced all the way to over. I don't trust Chelsea to really score that many goals, I got to say, especially, Nico Jackson not in the lineup probably means they will finish more chances, but he also does deserve some clout, respect, whatever, for getting them and getting in the right places, as he did at Villarreal as well in La Liga before moving to London. I just don't really trust Chelsea at all. Aston Villa coming off that rearranged midweek match with Liverpool midweek. That was difficult, but certainly test the legs here. But at home in Villa Park, I like Aston Villa at a pick'em. As for Sunday, we'll move to Newcastle hosting Nottingham Forest. They Newcastle are a 0.5 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total is three, juice slightly more to under. Nottingham Forest are starting to look like they're wobbling a little bit, but I mean, you can't argue with the best start that you could have ever expected, and then beyond the wildest dreams of anyone, I think, who follows them. Going to Newcastle is going to be a very tough place to play, and I don't know necessarily, after I've backed Nottingham Forest with some decent success as of late. Despite peak valuation, I feel like Newcastle haven't been playing well either and are dealing with some injuries, of course. Still are, I think, using Dubravka as their goalkeeper. But at this point, I don't know that I want to go and fade Newcastle at home with a team that's kind of been reeling. Totals a little bit more interesting, maybe under three here, because Nottingham Forest are certainly going to set up defensively. That's probably the closest thing I have on this matchup. To the last one on Sunday, the big one, or formerly a big one, Manchester City, a quarter goal underdog at home to Liverpool. Total is 3.5, juice all the way to under, and the side actually more juice right now in Liverpool after earlier this week being all of it on Manchester City. So clearly some money's coming in on Liverpool, a lot based, I think, on Manchester City traveling to the Bernabeu to face Real Madrid in the second leg of a knockout tie this week. But playing the last match on Sunday certainly is an easier pill to swallow, if you will. I just can't trust Manchester City. I can't trust their defense. I guess I leaned, if anything, to Man City at home. But man, I don't know if I want to get involved with that. And Liverpool are a much better club, even away from home. As for the best bet from England on this episode, I'll make sure I don't miss any comments. I'm going to go with that Aston Villa pick'em in the, I guess, late window on Saturday. And we'll move now to Spanish La Liga, and we'll get in there as we have a bunch of big teams playing in Copa del Rey next week. Of course, Real Madrid coming off Champions League as well. We'll start on Saturday morning here in the United States with Alaves hosting Espanyol. Currently, Alaves a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total is 2, just all the way to under. Espanyol have been great at home. It's not been the same away from home, but honestly, Alaves I don't trust at all, and I'd like to be against them as much as I can be. They have certainly had some calls go against them last week. It seemed like the entire match the manager was just waving us if you're not watching on video, which you can on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and on YouTube at the Real_G_Warner, Apple Podcast, and on Spotify under Betting the Pitch. But the manager just waving his arms over his head, which is usually the signal that the ref's thrown the game or is cheating for the other team, essentially. They don't like that very much in Spain, but I think everyone is calling out the refs at this point, and it's something that needs to happen. So thank you to Real Madrid for opening up that can of worms and then getting penalized with ridiculous calls like 3 matches in a row. La la la, lol. I think Alaves are just the side I want to be against. Espanyol has been really bad away from home, been good at home, and this is a big test for them away from home. But they can go on the road, get a draw that pays a full bet. It looks like Alaves are going to climb to a bigger favorite. It's time me up for Espanyol, and I lean to under 2 as well, just because I don't really believe in the Alaves offense at this point, and I'll pay to see it. Moving to the next matchup, we have Rayo Vallecano hosting Villarreal, coming off their Barcelona match on Monday. A little bit of a quick turnaround, but not so much, I guess, if you're not playing a midweek match. Rayo a pick'em at home with all the juice on Villarreal away. Maybe we get to Rayo a quarter goal underdog. That's certainly something I'll be looking for, as they've been playing very well lately, and I want to back them at home at Vallecas. Total is 2.5, and is juiced more to the over. Villarreal are a goal-scoring team. They've not been defending very well. I think I'm less enthused by the under here, but I do think it kind of correlates with how Rayo Vallecano want to play. So I lean to Rayo right now at the pick'em, getting odds, and lean to under 2.5, but I like the side, the home underdog, better. Moving next to Valencia, hosting Atletico Madrid. Currently, Valencia a half a goal underdog at home with almost all the juice. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to under. Atleti have Copa del Rey midweek, and maybe that's why this number is extremely short. Maybe because Valencia have been playing better, fell behind, and were able to equalize their near neighbor Villarreal to take a draw last weekend and almost won it late. But it's a different story facing Atleti at home. Certainly at Mestalla, they've big crowd, hugely steep stadium. They can get very loud, and Valencia is on their charge, trying to get out of the relegation zone. We're bottom of the league for a long, long time. It's a pretty good spot to back Valencia, but it is not cheap, and that's the biggest question. So I'm interested in Valencia getting that half of a goal, lean to under 2.25 as well. But Atleti can score, so that's a scary thing because Valencia really have struggled to do so. Though lately in an upturn, they've certainly been better. To the nightcap on Saturday, Las Palmas a 2-goal underdog at home to Barcelona. More juice on the home team, totals 3.75, and it's just a little bit more to under. I don't really like Barcelona. That's probably not the right way to say it to any coolers that are listening. I don't really like the idea of betting Barcelona. How about that? Especially the 2-goal favorite away from home on the Canary Islands with Copa del Rey midweek. Seems like we see Atleti's numbers really, really short, and Barcelona's number still about the same where it should be or where it is. Maybe that's a result of people betting Barcelona a lot more than Atleti because there are more fans out there. But I would expect Atleti to be very popular, especially in their race to the La Liga champion title. I'm interested in Las Palmas getting 2 full goals of insurance at home. I don't really want much to do with the total, especially after how poor they were defensively against Mallorca on the island last weekend. But now they've switched islands. They certainly will play better at home. And you could argue they're certainly motivated with Barcelona potentially looking ahead. So I'll put the under 3 3/4 on my list, though. Man, I'm trying to do less of unders with Barca. Moving to Sunday, we have Athletic Club Bilbao, a 2 goal favorite to Valladolid. Juices split both ways in this one, and that is really telling for how bad and likely to be relegated to Segunda División Real Valladolid currently are. Total is 2 3/4, just all the way to over. I feel like the unders have gone with Valladolid. I mean, the performance or whatever you'd call that, lack thereof, against a dead under team in Sevilla last weekend at home. I mean, I don't even think there's a home field advantage anymore for Valladolid. Their fans are whistling every chance they get, and they're playing like players that no one's ever heard of. They're like probably introducing themselves when they come out on the pitch for the starting 11 and the warm ups. I think there's nothing for me to do here until Valladolid stabilize, and I can't see that happening anytime soon. And I don't think Diego Coca, the former Mexican manager, was or Mexico national team manager. I don't think he's the one to do it. Real Madrid then hosts Girona. Currently, Real Madrid a 1 3/4 goal favorite coming off Manchester City. Almost all the juice in Girona away. Totals 3.5, and the juice is split both ways. Girona were looked at as the team that could potentially dethrone Real Madrid and Barcelona last year, and then got smacked around by the big clubs that I just mentioned every time they played. I think they had better success, excuse me, against Barcelona, but Real Madrid was not the case. I do think as a big underdog, I'm certainly interested. I'd like to see a 2 goals of insurance, and we could get there, though certainly the juice doesn't point that way as we speak, or as I speak, because I'm alone here. But totals 3.5. I feel like Real Madrid are, if you're going to back Girona, you probably want to look to under because there's more protection there, and I don't think Girona are scoring really at all. Maybe they get one, which certainly would kill you if Real Madrid get three, but I think that's the way to look. I do think there's some good situations here, especially with Real Madrid having Real Sociedad in the first leg of the Copa del Rey next week. But that's a very thin straw to be walking out, or a thin limb to stand on. Moving next to Getafe, as I wear their kit, as they're hot, I'm hot. We're trying to stay hot all together, even though it is frigid temperatures outside. And, I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully the fire alarm won't go off tonight because another pipe burst in my apartment complex. Amazing how Texas is inept with any sort of weather, unless it's 108 degrees. Good at air conditioning, I'll put it that way. Getafe, pick 'em right now. It's Real Betis. All the juice on Getafe total is 2, just all the way to under. Real Betis had they had Conference League midweek. And I believe they're in Belgium at Ghent for that, but had a big lead, so we're able to rotate. Getafe has been playing very well. Pick 'em at home is certainly expensive for a Getafe side that doesn't really seem to score. But I think Getafe as a pick 'em at home is not as bad as a quarter goal favorite would be. So I'll lean to the pick 'em right now. If they move to a quarter, I don't think I want to lay anything with Getafe offense, but I do have interest in the under 2 and really any under when Getafe are playing, as long as they're not bringing in new players in Copa del Rey and getting smashed like they did a few weeks ago. Real Sociedad then hosts Leganes in the nightcap on Sunday. We have Real Sociedad coming off of their Europa League second leg with Michelin, and were literally handed 2 goals right away to start their match on Thursday. And then I think they gave a penalty right afterwards. And I did not watch more of that because that was more goals than I had allotted. Didn't want to hear any spoilers about what had happened in Champions League. Still catching up on that. But Leganes have been playing really well. They've been, I think, getting too many goals or just not much respect from the La Liga market. Hasn't been easy for them, and this is going to be a really tough scenario going on the road. They're all Sociedad who are going to control the ball. But Sociedad played their best, started their best at home for Michelin, and I think that is a really great position for Leganes to be in. So give me that full goal of insurance, and I like under 2, and they correlate. Moving to Monday of Sevilla hosting Mallorca. Currently, Sevilla a half a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Mallorca away. Total is 2. Juice is split both directions. So not really a huge read for me. Mallorca have been really struggling. Had a good performance against Las Palmas last weekend. I'll pay to see it happen again, though. I will say Sevilla are not trustworthy to score goals either, unless they're facing a side that's getting relegated or already looks like they have been. I'll lean to Mallorca under 2 goals in that Monday matchup. As for the ultimate best bet, I'm going to go with Rayo Vallecano, a pick'em at home. That's my best bet on Saturday. Moving now to Italy and the Serie A, as we have a couple matches early on Saturday. And honestly, the dripping faucet is driving me nuts. I don't know if anyone can hear it, but I'm going to turn it off quickly. BRB. And now that that's done, and I feel like I'm not getting water tortured right now, we'll start with Parma, a half a goal underdog at home to Bologna. Total is 2.5, and it's juice more to the over. More juice on the home underdog right now. Bologna, I mean, they started to play a lot better, I think, as they became familiar with each other after so many players had moved on, including their manager in the offseason. Parma have started to look like a relegation side. Can't really score, struggling to keep clean sheets, which is hard for anybody, of course. But I think the big question is what Parma will do here because they've kind of morphed their playing style, and I feel like they're still being bet like an over and a team that's certainly a promoted side, which is never good for getting respect. But honestly, I don't think there's a lot of goals in their matches. So I'm interested in Parma as a home underdog, but I think I like the under 2.5 even more. Bologna are a little bit scary to me because they have been scoring and they do have some talent. I love Thai Salinga, formerly of Toulouse, but at this point, I'll lean under. It's the strongest one in that matchup. Same window, same time. Venezia, three-quarter goal underdog at home to Lazio. All the juice on Lazio away. Total is 2 and 3/4 juice all the way to under. Feels like a big total considering Venezia haven't been scoring much. Their defense has been better. Um, Lazio really haven't been as great as they were to start the season, though hard to match what they were doing with their long winning streak that seemed to go forever and ever and ever, included a lot of Europa League dominance as well. I'm not sure I really want to back Venezia until I get a full goal of insurance, especially since it looks like it's close. I'll lean to under 2 and 3/4 is my biggest interest in that matchup. We'll move next to Torino hosting AC Milan. Milan, after crashing out of Champions League midweek, Torino, a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2 and 1/4, and juice is split both ways. Feels like there's a lot of money coming against Milan, and I do like that on a home underdog, especially in Serie A, where it seems like the shady, small, cheap underdogs are certainly worth looking into. This feels like a wise guys matchup, and Milan have not looked great. They've got a ton of attackers trying to figure out how to play with each other, and honestly, signing a star striker from Feyenoord and then getting eliminated by same Feyenoord side in Champions League is not a great way to start your career if you're Conceição. So I'll lean to Torino getting a half of a goal, and I lean to under 2 and 1/4 because I don't expect them to score much. Moving to the Saturday night cap, we have Inter Milan, a goal and a half favorite right now at home to Genoa. Total is 2 and 3/4, used to split both ways. Feels like the side's big, but the total is small. Genoa have not really been scoring, but they haven't been conceding much either ever since Patrick Vieira took over. I think that's the only way I could look is under 2 and 3/4. I'd love to get a full three for that very essential push. But we don't have it just yet. Moving to Sunday, we have Como hosting Napoli. Currently, Como a quarter goal underdog at home. Almost all the juice on Napoli away. Total is 2 and 1/4. Almost all the juice on under. Napoli are an under team. They don't score very many goals, but they have been up at the top of Serie A. I don't know if they'll finish there, but it's been a good run so far. Como, I mean, they are so hard to predict, I think. I mean, it seems like the market loves them every week, and they've been really underperforming, and I'm betting and making a lot of money against them. And then I finally jumped on the parade, and it feel like everything went the whole total other direction. Then they're a pretty small underdog to Fiorentina last weekend. I had nothing to do with it, thankfully, but they then kept a clean sheet, won 2-0, I believe, if I remember correctly, to Fiorentina, which is a big win for them. Um, I don't think they do it to Napoli here, but I think I gotta look at the home underdog, especially a really short quarter of a goal. And the market has loved Como all season. I lean under 2 and 1/4 though, as that seems more safe. As betting Napoli to play a controlled but low scoring matchup just seems to be the best way to make money on them going forward, and has been this whole season. Verona then hosts Fiorentina. Speaking of Verona, a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2 and 1/4, juice all the way to over. Verona's defense is never very good, but Fiorentina are really up and down and hard to really trust them. I think if anything, I like Verona as a half a goal underdog at home. I just really don't trust them to score much. So I think I like under 2 and 1/4 just as much. It might be a skip for me, honestly. Empoli then hosts Atalanta coming off their own crashing out after Club Bruges just dominated the second leg in Bergamo of all places after a very fortunate late game penalty in the first leg at home. But Atalanta really have to look in the mirror. They've not been playing well lately. Their defense is horrible, and they didn't deserve to move through, even though they were a huge favorite heading into the tie. Empoli, one goal underdog at home, though, have not been playing well. They were scoring a lot of goals. Now they're not scoring, and their defense is looking really, really shaky. I don't know. Two teams not going the right directions, but Empoli are more rested and are getting a full goal of insurance at home. So I'll lean that way and lean to under 2 and 3/4. But that does not feel great to me. Cagliari then hosts Juventus in the Sunday nightcap, especially coming off Juventus in Champions League second leg. Great spot for Cagliari. Have been a lot better at home. I like that half of a goal. I like the under 2.5. I like the idea of playing against Juventus, who just can't possibly keep getting away with this. They can't keep getting away with this. I think that's a Walter White reference or a Breaking Bad from way back when. We move to Monday. Roma hosts Monza. Currently, Roma 1.5 goal favorite coming off of their Europa League second leg tie against Porto at home in the same Stadio Olimpico. So, good spot for them not having to travel. And they get the worst team in the league. It feels like totals 2 and 3/4, just more to the over. Monza are going to try to keep this game as low scoring as possible because they can't score. They keep losing bodies, players to other clubs. Look like they're going down, unfortunately, and it didn't really look like that was a team that should have been in fear coming into the season. Roma have been much better at home, but I still don't trust them to dominate or really score goals. So like under 2 and 3/4 in that Monday matchup. For my best bet on Saturday, let's go with we're certainly pointing. I'll go Torino under 2.25 goals because I just don't trust their offense enough. But I do think that half of a goal certainly seems like all of Italy is betting it. And I don't know if you've heard of the Mafia, but back in the day, they seem to know what they're doing in the betting world. Or at least you might wake up with your horse's head or something like that from The Godfather. Moving to Ligue 1 in France, and then we'll eventually tie this up with a best bet coming end of show, trying to improve that 32-11, 74% year-to-date record. We'll start with Lille, a quarter goal favorite at home to Monaco. Totals 2 and 3/4, juice more to the over, more juice on Lille at home. Monaco coming off Champions League midweek. Lille had already gotten through from getting a bye and finishing the top eight. They've been really struggling, but I got a big win on the road at Stade Rennais or Rennes last weekend. Um, not enough value for me on Monaco and don't want much to do with the total. So we'll move on to the next. Saint Etienne hosting Angers. Currently, Saint Etienne, a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Angers away. Totals 2.5. Juice is split both ways. I definitely bet Saint Etienne on the road at Angers, and that pretty much seemed to light Angers a fuse or light a fire under Angers, and they've been great ever since, including get a big win last weekend on the road at Reims, including conceding a penalty and it being kicked into Rosette, as they would say, over the crossbar. That might be a Reims problem, but honestly, I feel like Angers are deserving, and I like them as an underdog against one of the worst teams in the league. Saint Etienne should have a big crowd impact here, but they got dominated on the road at Angers and the Sports Club Ouest. And I got to say, I like Esquio in this matchup. Also lean to under 2.5 because I just don't expect Saint Etienne to score much. They might be fighting really hard, but Saint Etienne have certainly been the lower scoring of the two, and they've certainly got some defensive problems. So maybe I like the side better than the total. To the Saturday night game, we have Alger, excuse me, almost said Alger again. Alger, they're hosting Marseille. Currently, Alger, a 1 goal underdog at home. More juice on Marseille away. Totals 2 and 3/4. Juice all the way to over. Marseille have been awesome away from home. They don't have Europe midweek. They're so much more talented than Alger. And I gotta say, I like the Alger and how they've been set up for matches recently. I don't know if the results have really followed. I'll lean to the 1 goal of insurance, but that's really scary when I don't really like the total going under. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Nantes hosting Lens. Currently, Nantes a quarter goal underdog at home. All the juice on Lens away. Totals 2.5, and it's juice all the way to under. Lens took a red card, and things went haywire after that. After Strasbourg basically said, "Go ahead, Lens, you're at home. Score on us." Not on the other side, on the other side, they got Monaco off of Champions League, took a 1-0 lead in the fourth minute, took a red card in the eighth minute, and lost 7-1. So I expect Nantes to put up forth a better performance. I think Lens are still a defensive side, even though their offensive manager came in and defensive manager had left for Nice. And I can't even explain what happened with Nice, but we'll get to them in a second, I guess. We haven't covered them yet. Lean to Nantes as a quarter goal underdog at home. Lean to under 2.5 as I think that is the way Antoine Comboire will get his way this weekend. Le Havre then hosts Toulouse, reminding me of the Nice match, which is a brutal bad beat. 2-1 Nice last weekend in stoppage time. Looked like we are getting a penalty to tie the game up for the Le Havre side at home as they're really trying to stack up results. Had beaten Lille on the road the week before, and then conceding a excuse me, and then what happened? Then Nice gets a red card, player sent off, and they still score a goal, 90 plus 4 to bust the total and the side. Just feel like that happens so often. It's amazing. I should write a book. But those of you that follow on Patreon have been seeing me keeping track of it. So we're gonna see, and I'll spit it out, and then maybe someone could tell me that I've just been the most unlucky soccer bettor in the world, and I've taken 56 or something like that stopper time losers to about 14 winners. But it does certainly not work when you're playing worse teams and unders. That's obvious. But Le Havre, a half a goal underdog at home to Toulouse. Total is 2.25. Juice a little bit more to under. And all the juice right now is on Le Havre, actually. You could see them falling down to a quarter of a goal underdog. And this is not a great spot for Toulouse. They've been way better against good teams, bad against the bad teams. Le Havre are certainly a bad team. I lean to that half of a goal at home and lean to under 2.25. Nice then hosts Montpellier, another bad team for Nice. Their goal and a half favorite at home are Nice. Total is 3.25. Juice all the way to under. Almost all the juice on Montpellier as well. I think I'm not touching Montpellier until they figure something out. They look like they are really close to getting relegated in their 50th anniversary season. Strasbourg then hosts Stade Brestois, coming off of Champions League and their elimination against PSG. Total right now is 2.75, which is very heavily to under. Strasbourg, a half a goal favorite at home. With most of the juice on Brest away, I feel like this is very respectful of. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I just lose my mic. Dang it. How did that happen? Nope, that's not what we want. No. Hello. Let's see, did I do this right? I feel like, damn. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. If anybody can comment that you can hear me in the chat, that'd be nice. Oh, mic is muted. That's not what we want. Unmute. Here we are. We're back. Let's see. Are we actually back? No, that. All right, we're back. We're killing it. Hopefully you didn't miss any beautiful speech there, or sign off. But just to get back to it, Strasbourg to me are, I mean, they got a really good win playing very defensively last weekend. I don't think that's going to work very well because Stade Brestois will eat that up. I like Brest get responding to poor performance against PSG. And certainly you'd be buying low. So I lean to that half of a goal, lean to under 2.75. At Strasbourg, I mean, they're still a young team that make big mistakes, but it hasn't really been showing up in over the totals lately or as of late. To the nightcap, we have Lyon hosting PSG. Lyon, 3/4 of goal underdog at home. All the juice on PSG totals 3.5. Juice very heavily to under, surprisingly. Lyon are an offensive team. They've been really struggling. I think they're suffering by the weight of the financial threats that are coming from the Ligue 1 watchdog that might be potentially banishing them to Ligue 2. We'll see if that ends up happening, but they've done well in Europa League, got a bye in the first round of the knockouts, whereas PSG had to play in France, but still had to play a couple extra matches. I like Lyon. I think they would be a lot more interesting to me as a 3/4 goal underdog, or excuse me, as a 1 goal underdog than the current 3/4, though all the juice is on PSG. I expect money to hit. So I'll be waiting to see if Lyon move to a full goal of insurance before I bet it. For my best bet in French League 1, I'm going to go with. I like the Nantes bounce back quarter of a goal underdog on Sunday at home to Lens. And last but not least, we'll get to the German Bundesliga. Then I'll give you my ultimate best bet, summarize my favorites from each of the leagues we've covered, and then get you a winner, hopefully, to increase our record and our percentage. Mainz 05, they host St. Pauli on Saturday in the German Bundesliga. Big window of matches. Currently, St. Pauli, a 3/4 goal underdog with all the juice. Total is 2.25. Juice is split both ways. I've been really good at the Bundesliga lately, and going to try to keep this going. I'm not trying to extend and push into more plays, but I think the strongest play here is under 2.25. Mine's still fun. I've got Johnny Burkhardt back. There's captain, club captain, striker, former, I think, captain of the under 23 German World Cup winning team. He's awesome and looked like he was back in shape, but honestly, when you score an assist, it doesn't really matter how you look. I think the St. Pauli side, I mean, they were extremely disappointed last weekend, but they are so good defensively and have done a really good job of just outworking their opponents. Mines are a team that works, and at home they should feel the buoy, or they should be buoyed by their home crowds. A favorite soccer phrase. They should get a lot of energy from them, And that does make me wonder, are St. Pauli going to get outrun here? If they do, what do they have? They struggle to score goals. I think under 2.25 is my biggest interest here, but I'm also interested in the underdog, 3/4 of a goal, because I think that's still asking Mainz to do something they haven't done a lot, which is score goals as of late, and they've been struggling to do so. Moving next to Wolfsburg hosting VfL Bochum, two VfLs against each other, Verein, football, whatever. One goal favorites are Wolfsburg. Total is 3, just more to the over, more juice on the home favorite. I don't know how to really trust Bochum. It's nice to have a full goal of insurance in your back pocket, but I feel like we need to trust them to score a goal away, and I don't really do that. From the Totals perspective, though, I am interested in under 3 goals as Bochum, I think, are going to go there to try to shut up shop and keep Wolfsburg from scoring. They're in a big relegation fight. They're used to it, but a lot of new players and new manager, of course. I think Wolfsburg, they're used to sitting back, defending. It's going to be weird for them to control the ball this whole match. Borussia Mönchengladbach then hosts Football Club Augsburg, currently Gladbach, a half a goal favorite at home with more juice. Totals 2 3/4, just all the way to under. Um, Augsburg are going to go in and not, they're going to say you have the ball and break us down. Borussia Mönchengladbach have been great at home, got a good result on the road at Union Berlin last weekend. And that was something that they've not been able to do, win away from home. We'll see if this continues, if Gerardo Seoane has really fixed Default inside that we're really struggling. I think Augsburg are going to put up a really tough defense, and I don't see a lot of goals. So I'll go under 2 3/4 in this matchup. We'll move next to Holstein Kiel hosting Bayer Leverkusen. Currently, Kiel a 1 3/4 goal underdog at home. More juice on Bayer Leverkusen. Totals 3 1/4. Juice slightly more to over. Over sounds like the title race in for the Meisterschale in Germany, unless Bayern München really fall off the face of the earth. Leverkusen not able to score with a bunch of chances. Clean sheet against Bayern of all teams, and still weren't able to get a win at home. Big deal for that. Holstein Kiel, part of the reason why the title race feels over is Holstein Kiel came back from 2-0 down in the Bayer Arena to draw Leverkusen 2-2. I don't really trust Holstein Kiel because they're going to concede goals. I don't really trust them to score goals, though they seem to a lot. Probably over is worth a look at 3 1/4. That I'm not an over player, though. There's one for you, Joe Dollar. We'll move next to Borussia Dortmund hosting Union Berlin on Saturday in the Topspiel. Currently, Borussia Dortmund a 1 1/4 goal favorite. All the juice on Union away. Total is 3, and it's just almost all the way to over. This is a tough spot for Union. They've not really done great in this spot. Who's done well in front of the yellow wall in Dortmund? Honestly, nobody. Until this year, until lately, when Dortmund have been losing every time away from home and really struggling this year at home. I think Union are worth a look, especially getting more than a goal from a team that's off of Champions League midweek, whether they had a big lead against Sporting Lisboa or not. Lean to under 3 in that matchup as well. And then to a Sunday card that actually had 3 matches. We'll start with Leipzig hosting Heidenheim. Currently, Leipzig a 1.5 goal favorite. Juice is split. Total is 3 1/4. It juice all the way to under. Heidenheim are extremely slow. They're going to have to sit back and try to defend. They're coming off Conference League midweek, and I believe it was a home match with Copenhagen. Leipzig off because they got knocked out of Champions League unexpectedly. They're a big favorite here. They probably should win this match by a lot, but I'll lean to Heidenheim under 3 1/4 goals. Moving next to Bayern München hosting Eintracht Frankfurt. Currently, Bayern a 1 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice on Eintracht. Total is 3.5, and it's juice more to the over. Eintracht have been very good. They did sell Omar Mamouche, who lately was scoring hat tricks at home in the English Premier League on Newcastle. But they're still very talented. They're not as talented as Bayern. Nobody is in Germany. But at this point, Bayern coming off of their Champions League toil midweek at home, it was, as this match is, against Celtic. But they ultimately have to deal with a really good side. I lean to Eintracht, a 1 3/4 goal underdog. It's very juiced at the moment. Would love to get 2. It doesn't look like that's going to come back. But that's my interest for now. Last but not least, TSG Hoffenheim hosts VfB Stuttgart. Currently, Hoffenheim a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 3 1/4, juice all the way to under. Hoffenheim with a shock victory on the road at Werder Bremen last weekend, but maybe not that shocking, other than shocking from the Hoffenheim perspective. But now they get Stuttgart, who've been really struggling as well. Stuttgart a road favorite, and Stuttgart are going to try to control this game. The problem for Hoffenheim, and really for me as an under player, is I don't really want much to do with anything Hoffenheim under related. Their defense is still incredibly bad. Stanley and Soki is either a red card or an own goal, or sometimes both. he can't start, but for some reason they keep playing him. I don't trust the manager for Hoffenheim. I don't trust the board, neither do any of the players. As Geiger was benched last weekend for speaking out. Andre Kramaric, same sort of thing. There's a lot of problems there, but yet they still won at Werder Bremen. Big surprise, but I'm not going to really bet on that to continue happening. I think for my interest on this matchup, as I sat too low in my chair for the video portion, forgot about that. I think I lean under 3.25. Totals above 3.25, I think, are have a good hit rate on under. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it just feels that way. And I feel like Stuttgart have not been scoring enough to deserve the totals that they've been getting. As for my best bet in the German Bundesliga, I'm gonna go with that Mainz St. Pauli under 2.25 goals. It's low, it's small for a German Bundesliga matchup, but honestly, that's kind of what you want here. I feel like those are what works. Doesn't feel easy, but it shouldn't. And honestly, the German Bundesliga, I think, has been responding to a very over friendly last season and have been improving a lot in the under direction. So that does it for this episode, but stay with me. If you got any comments, I know we have some live viewers. Feel free to throw them in and I'll get to them if I see them before we're signing off. We have the ultimate best bet coming, so stick around. If you've made it through 40 minutes and 51 seconds, you might as well stay on a little bit longer. If you could hit a 5-star review, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, or if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe at the real underscore G Warner. Comments, things like that always work and get you more engagement, honestly, on your profile, but also we'll get some more for the podcast. If you're looking for the 1 minute shortened version, go check out at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram. Best place to get this 1 minute, or I guess this 41-minute episode all summarized into one. And I guess it's time to get into it. As soon as I'm doing this right, I believe I am. Let's make sure. Can't make myself any more beautiful, but I do think I have the stats in front of me. So let's go ahead and do it. Hey, this is the real underscore G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet portion of Betting the Pitch. We are 32 and 11, 74% on our best bets end of show. Today we covered English Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Liga, and the Bundesliga. So I'll give you my best bets from each of those leagues and pick out my favorite. From the English Premier League, I like Aston Villa, a pick'em. In La Liga in Spain, I like Rayo Vallecano, also a pick'em. In Serie A in Italy, I like Torino, under 2.25 goals. In Liga in France, I like Nantes, a Portugal underdog at home. And the German Bundesliga, I like St. Pauli under 2.25 goals. But for the ultimate best bet on this episode, like I said, 32 and 11. Get all my picks on patreon.com / the real underscore G Warner. I'm going to go with St. Pauli under 2.25 goals. I just don't see a lot of goals in any St. Pauli match. We got two teams that are going to try to outrun each other. That doesn't usually put the ball in the back of the net. And I think we see a very tight matchup. St. Pauli, a really good road team in the German Bundesliga, their first season in a decade. That does it for this episode of Betting the Pitch. Thank you for following and listening wherever you are, whenever you are. If you could tell your friends or somehow push me to other people, that'd be awesome. Or continue to comment and love me, and that's all I really want. But hit the follow button at the real underscore G Warner. Check out my Patreon if you want college basketball picks. Had a good Friday night and trying to lead into some big confidence over the weekend, as we had a really bad last Saturday and really awesome previous Saturday. Trying to get that all regulated before we get to March Madness season. Planning on doing a lot of episodes and specifics, maybe off of pregame as well, as we only have 2 episodes a week with them and at Big East Bend. There is 1 episode out covering the biggest games, 5 games on Saturday, February 22nd. If you want to listen to that, go check out Pregame Now on Twitter. And of course, hit me at the real underscore G Warner across any social media platform you find it, especially if you want a referral to make a new account at BetOnline or Sportsbetting.ag or any place that I am. Bettor's Den, an really good spot. Also a new one if you want to check that out as well. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I will try to get to sleep at some point and get out some winners tomorrow morning.